this was one of my dances, I would be hiding under here for the next 5 minutes, and then an alarm would go off. I'm Heather Kravas. I make dances or organize situations and structures so that we might be able to think of them as dances. My work often uses repetition as a way to investigate minute difference. I'm interested in being in things for a long time so that we might see how time affects us. And I leave and make room for boredom, irritation, tension, and anxiety to exist so that we might also witness sweat, failure, perseverance, relief, surprise, sometimes joy. What you will see is a kind of structural animation of a 2-hour dance work followed by some photos that you got a sneak preview of from the performance. Visions of Beauty was an exploration of people making things together, lines and X's, tornadoes, solar systems, knots, tussles, but also decisions and love. The dance, or really the 7 dances that converge to make the whole, I created with Andrew Champlin, Cecilia Lisa Eliseche, Tarek Halaby, Michael Helland, John Hubier, Michael Engel, Joey Kipp, Kayvon Purizar, and Saul Ulerio. The performers in every way made this dance with me. I offered them some durational practices that tended towards extremes. I also said that the provocations were invitational and open to conversation, but I had the expectation that they would mostly say yes to me. But in fact, they said no a lot, and they said maybe tomorrow, and they said not right now, and there was rarely consensus between any of us, and many discussions, as well as different approaches taken at different moments. And I really loved this, mostly. The fascinating thing about making this dance was how we figured out how to make very precise shapes and forms with one another while honoring choice and presence. My work is generally exceedingly choreographed, and Visions of Beauty demanded to exist in a perpetual state of becoming. I suppose that most people would call this improvisation, but I somehow want to call it simultaneity of unknown and precise experience. I had intended to make it work with a cast of men, and I really like that ultimately the performers identified in various ways and that gender was a kind of and rather than predominant force. Rather than an example of cliched masculinity, I think the work wrestles with tenderness and strength and cooperation and exquisiteness and consent. I've been trying to figure out how to tell you that I made this piece for my little boy who is now 7 but was 6, and I needed to make something for him that I felt demonstrated a way that he could grow up in this world that contained a lot of possibility instead of rigidness and force. These are the things that we made together and wanted to put forward into the world as repeatable actions. Visions of Beauty premiered it on the boards in Seattle, Washington in 2017. Thank you, Lane, who's here, and later inaugurated the new performance-based New York Theater in January 2018, and I am extremely grateful to these institutions for supporting something precarious and never finished. And I am incredibly thankful and honored to be here with you. So thank you, Creative Capital, and thank you, all of you artists. I am so incredibly moved by your work and inspired by you. Thank you for helping me sustain my practice and also prodding me to do some things that I'm not so good at, like promotion, documentation, setting aside money for taxes, and PowerPoint dances. While I believe Well, I believe the intention of this event is to provide artists with a platform for introducing their work. As I come to the completion of this project, I want to take a moment to also reflect on how honored, again, I am to be a part of this community where art is so deeply cared for and about. This award allowed me to not only realize a project, but more importantly, allowed me to delve into it and honor its process, one that took me away from assumptions I had about how a group of people might make something together towards actions that honored both a desire for creating form and a place where resistance, accident, and vibration contribute to a work's resonance as alternatives to spectacle, consumption, and force. I believe Visions of Beauty would be the culmination of a decade of choreography examining labor, anger, and perfectionism, and I now see it as a gateway to a new body of work for me that is a collaborative practice that I am currently calling Solid Objects. Solid Objects is, among many things, an 80-hour performance that examines what and who are together, how, and where. And I have no time to speak to you about it right now, but I think it will consume me probably for the rest of my life, so maybe you'll see some of it. I love the tricky way that art can guide us into new ways of thinking and being together through rigor, listening, and presence while allowing a place where the containers of our experience may be reimagined. Thank you so much.